Hello and welcome to the part number 4 of our Natural History mini book tutorial series. It's Alexandra. Today we are working on the 4th page of our book, which is this one. Let's first separate the pages that we're going to need today, and there are a few of them. That's the base page. Then here are some pockets, some cards and additional elements, another pocket and a tag with a few additional labels and pieces for us to play with, another journaling card, and finally there is a page with a large tag and some additional elements right here. Let's begin with cutting out our base page. You will score the line for folding the flap in. Fold our page in half like this. I'm looking at the corners, making sure that they're lined up. This is our base page. We need to distress the long edge of it on the inside and also distress the edges on the outsides. The next page that we will need the elements from is this. I will cut out this large pocket and a smaller vertical pocket, and the elements that I have on my right hand side I will leave for later because these are just intended for fussy cutting and using either in your other makes or in the little journals that you will have throughout this book. I will cut around the outline of each one of the pockets first. Then score and fold the side flaps. Don't forget to use your scissors on the curved areas of the pocket. Distress the outer edges of the pocket. And now repeat the steps for the long vertical pocket. Now we will punch out the opening for the acetate see-through window, and I'm going to use my 3/4 inch circle punch for that. With the flaps being folded in, I will line up my circle punch with the borders of the rounded opening and use my craft knife for cutting out the remaining paper section. And do the same on the vertical pocket. Next, you are going to need a few pieces of acetate. One should be enough to cover the opening on the larger pocket, and the other one to cover the opening on the vertical pocket in the back. Now I'm using leftover pieces of acetate. That's why they might be a bit on the narrower side, but in terms of the length, the one for the larger pocket should be 6 1/8 of an inch long, and then mine is 1 inch wide, but again, I suggest that you make it a little bit wider than that. It will be easier for you to glue it down. 1 1/2 inch should be good, and make sure that you glue it down quite close to the fold line right there, but not too close so that you are still able to fold the flap on top of the acetate. Center the acetate piece on top of the opening and between the flaps. And leave it to dry. Now for the smaller pocket, you will need a piece of acetate that will be 5 7/8 long. And again, in terms of the width, I would suggest that you take a piece which is about 1 3/4 inch wide. I'm using leftover piece, so it's narrower than it could be. You will have to position the acetate piece closer to the top where the curve is, and make sure, of course, that you cover the area that we have cut out in the paper. All right, now let's get back to our base page. We will glue our larger pocket as the matting piece on top of this side of the page, and you will once again notice that this pocket piece is slightly smaller than the paper layer underneath. I will apply the glue to the longer flap first. Now I can add the glue to the two remaining flaps and finish adhering the pocket to the page. This is how it looks so far. Now let's get back to our vertical long pocket. Let's make sure that we burnish the flaps nicely. This pocket will be glued down on top of the previous larger piece, and you will have to find the placement for it by looking at the text on the label at the top and also here on the paper element at the bottom of the page to make sure that the text coincides on both of the pieces. Once you find a perfect placement for the vertical pocket, use a clip and secure it on top of the page. Apply some glue to the short flap of the pocket and glue it down to your base page. Remove the clip and open the pocket. So that we are able to easily slide our tag inside this long pocket, I suggest that you use little pieces of clear tape and glue them down on both sides of the flap, here and here. Make sure that the pieces of tape do not extend from the sides of the pocket once it gets folded and glued down on top. So although I have some pieces of tape in there, I do not see them when I put the pocket on top. Now I can add the glue to the long flaps on both sides and glue this pocket down to the page. This side is almost ready. Now let's take the page that looks like this and cut out all the elements that we have on it. Fold the card, glue it down, distress the card on the edges, and slide it into the large pocket. Now let's create the tag for the vertical pocket. Here it is. I will cut it out first. I will fold it in half, glue it down together, trim the corners, distress the edges, and now our tag is ready to be placed inside the pocket. If you feel that the tag is not easily going into the pocket, you can trim its edges a bit. Make sure that you trim on both sides. I start by trimming a sliver from the left-hand side of the tag and then the same amount on the opposite side. Don't forget to distress those cut off edges again with some distress ink. I think that now we will easily slide the tag into the pocket. And you can choose whether you want to have some flowers showing through the opening or some butterflies. Now let's work on the frame for the reverse side of our page. We have the pocket frame right here. We'll start by cutting it out. I will score and fold the side flaps of this frame. Distress it on the edges. And then I will use my 1/4 inch circle punch for punching out the corners of the opening. Next, I will cut the opening out. Distress the edges of the opening. And measure the size of the acetate piece that I will have to glue down in the back. So the piece that I'm going to need will be about 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. I will apply some glue around the opening on the paper, and then I will apply the glue around the edges of the acetate piece. When you glue the acetate on top of the opening, make sure that you center it between all the flaps and also that you glue it closer to the top edge of our pocket frame. I cut out a little label that I want to staple onto the frame with the help of the tiny attacher, and I want the label to later on hold the tag that we're going to add to a journaling card that will be placed inside the pocket frame. I also want to use a tiny piece of clear tape and cover the prongs of the staple in the back so that they don't impede with the journaling card that I'm going to put in there. Our frame is ready and we can glue it down on top of our page. I think that I will just go ahead and center it on top. You can decide if you want to have it closer to the bottom of the page or maybe closer to one of the sides. But I think that I'm going to just glue it down in the center like so. I will first add the glue to the bottom flap of the frame only. Add the glue to the remaining flaps and glue the frame down. I really like the splatters on this frame. Okay, so here is our page almost ready. Now we need to assemble the card with the butterflies that will go inside the window frame. We're going to cut it out, glue it together, As usual, distress the edges. Here is my card. I will not slide it into the pocket just yet, because if I do, it will be hard to get it out before we do one more thing. I will cut out the tags, which are right here. There are two of them, so one of them will be used on the journaling card that will go into the window pocket. And the second one you're welcome to use wherever you like. I will cut both of the tags like so, then fold them, glue them together, and now cut them apart. Round the corners if you want to. Distress the edges. You can either punch a hole in the tag and then use a string for attaching it to the card, or you can add an eyelet to the tag like I did here, and then the second hole will be in the card itself. I think I'm going to add the hole right in the center, add an eyelet in there. And now we will take a string. Probably doesn't have to be that long. About, let's see, my string is about 14 inches long. I will fold it in half and string it through the tag. Then secure it like that. Tie a knot somewhere there, and then add the tag to the card. I think I'm going to tie another knot on this string, about maybe 1 inch away from the previous knot, and then I will string only one string through the eyelet, and then I will tie a knot at the top. You are welcome to use any other way of attaching a tag to the card, but this is how I will do it. Now, when we put our card into the pocket, it should go all the way down to the edge of the frame, and the tag will be tucked behind the label like so. And you can choose if you want to use this side of the card or its reverse side with the blue butterfly like so. Okay, this is our page almost ready. Now I will assemble my large tag for this page. I will cut it out and fold it just as we did before. I really like the colors of the pansies. So the tag will go inside the page like this. And we want to cut out the remaining elements that were on the pages that we worked with today. I will fussy cut the smaller elements later. I will punch out the postage marks. 1 inch circle punch will be used for them, like so. And of course I will cut out the cards on this paper. I want to cut the film strip out and fold it in half. I think that it will be better to score a line first, right along the center, and then fold it and glue it down together. This film strip will be used in one of the pockets on the next page. But of course, you are welcome to choose a place for it in your book. Don't forget to distress it on the edges. You will need to distress the edges of all the additional elements that you're going to cut out from the pages that we worked with today. And I think I didn't show you that after I cut the tickets out, I fold them in half. Glue them together. And use my decorative edge scissors on the sides, like so. And then use my 1/4 inch circle punch to punch out the remaining details to make the tickets look as real as possible. Don't forget to distress the edges. This completes tutorial number 4. Here are our previous pages. 1, 2, 3, and today we have assembled the page number 4. In the next tutorial, we will work on the page number 5. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below this video, and see you soon for the next tutorial. Bye!